All right, good morning. Hello, everyone out there in Blue Jeans land, and welcome to our informational session for the seed grants. I'm going to just get us kicked off here and then turn it over to some other folks. So this is the agenda for today. I'm going to give you the welcome, which I'm doing right now, and then you're going to hear from all of the other cores for our program. We have 4 cores, so you'll hear from Dr. Rodriguez about the therapeutic core, Dr. Minot on the technology core, Dr. Zemring on the built environment core, and then there's more for technology core, which you'll hear from graduate student Chaitra Hedge on, and then I'll come in and give you some more about the logistics of the seed grant and some information there. What our purpose for today's meeting is, our session is to give you a little background and update on where we are as a program so that your seed grant proposals can be responsive to our program and just let you know what we're doing and kind of our status and where we are. So I'm now going to turn things over to Amy Rodriguez, who's going to give us a little bit of an update on how things have been going with our program and how many members and all that. So, Amy, are you ready to share your screen?
I am ready to roll. You just tell me if you see what.
When it comes up, okay, I've stopped sharing.
Great. Are you seeing why are we
there?
Here?
It is.
Okay, good. And good morning, everyone. As Jennifer said, my name is Amy Rodriguez. I head up the therapeutic programs core, but I'm also just going to give kind of an overview of the program. And to start off, just want to touch base about, why are we here? What's the purpose of our program? And the reality is for a lot of people who receive a diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, there's not a way for them to carry out the many recommendations that are provided for them to, maintain their functioning and independence and all of those lifestyle factors that they're encouraged to manage. And so the reason for action is that we do have a growing population of people that are affected by mild cognitive impairments, but there's really a limited evidence base and access to treatment. So our mission really is to empower people with MCI and their care partners, and we call our members with MCI, their members in our program. And we really want to empower them by creating a living lab that helps to promote joy, purpose, health, and wellness. And we do this through comprehensive style programs, through technology, and also through physical environments. And so the vision for this program really is to create a program that revolutionizes the experience of living with mild cognitive impairment, and to create a program that can be replicated both nationally and internationally. So we are a program that you're going to hear from all of these different what we call cores or that are components of our program. So we have the therapeutic programs, we have the built environment, which is really about the spaces that we create for people to enhance function, technology and the ways that technology can be used in our physical environment at Emory, plus in the home, to support and encourage activities. And then the Innovation Accelerator, which is the component around research and that kind of hosts the seed grants that we're talking about today. We also have a great administrative team that helps keep everything running smoothly. So the idea really is to address all of these components in our program at Emory, which is at Executive Park 6, but also to help people continue engaging in activities and remain independent in their homes and in their communities. So currently, the members who come into our program are through the Emory Cognitive Neurology Clinic. And we also receive referrals through research studies at the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. So we've been open since January of 2020, and we have enrolled to date 11 cohorts of members and care partners. And our program lasts for 1 year, and we'll talk a little bit about that more in a minute. But 19 members and care partner dyads have completed the 1-year program. And then we have 55 current members who are in the program. So that is 74 active member and care partner dyads right now. Next month, we will be enrolling another set of cohorts into the program. And so we do continue to enroll people every other month into the program. So just a really quick word about the pathway. Like I mentioned, it's a 1-year program from the time that a dyad enrolls into the program. They undergo assessments, orientation together, onboarding with our tech, and then they do the intervention phase, and then they undergo assessments again, and then participate in our alumni activities. So just a bit about the measures and the areas that we assess as part of the program. So of course, we're interested in their cognitive and their motor function, and we assess that through a series of objective measures, but we also are very interested in understanding the environment and support that they have. And one of the ways that we do that at baseline is to look at their confidence, access, and knowledge about technology. We also are very interested in, of course, how they're functioning in their everyday lives and how MCI is impacting their activities of daily living. And so we use a number of self-report measures and care partner measures to try and understand that. We also use checklists and surveys about their home environment to understand the environmental piece as well. And then finally, we do want to understand mood, well-being, sleep, and empowerment as some personal factors that may be affected by MCI. So we do have a pretty broad range of assessments that we do at baseline. We repeat the surveys at 6 months, and then we repeat the full baseline measures again after they have completed the 12-month program. So in terms of the programming itself that we do, which falls under the therapeutic core, we provide programming in the area of physical activity, cognition, functional independence, education and well-being, and then also social engagement. So some of the activities that we provide are listed here. In the area of physical activity, we have what we call a Get Active program that's focused on strength, balance, cardiovascular fitness, and dual task motor cognitive training. We also have yoga and Tai Chi. In the area of cognition, our members go through calendar training, which helps them to manage everyday life, appointments, and other important things. We also have a training program that we use called EON, Ecologically Oriented Neurologic Rehab, and our members go through that. And then they also have access to computer-based training through BrainHQ. Our functional independence programming focuses on home safety, fall prevention, medication management, leisure activities, and we also do some driving education. Under education and well-being, we do what we call a Live Well series, and the sessions are focused on the domains of coping framework, which is really about coping, about emotional and lifestyle issues, that people face with MCI. And then we have nutrition education, which is focused on the components of the MIND diet and how to begin making small changes to diet that that may impact brain health. For social engagement, we have art exploration, which focuses on discussing different pieces of art and then engaging in art making. And we are also going to be expanding that to other areas that our members have told us are of interest to them around music. So we'll be offering music and movement and ukulele classes. So our members, like I said, go through a one-year program, but they change the classes that they're taking every 3 months. And so we call these tracks, and they come to us 1 day a week, every week, and then they participate. For example, in track 1, they would do cognitive training. They would get active and think tank. So this is just, this is kind of detailed information, but just so you all have an understanding of how people move through the program, 3 months at a time with different blocks of programming. And so in terms of the research that we're interested in with the therapeutic core, of course, we are interested in any novel interventions or methods of delivery that fall into the domains that, of type of program that we offer. We're also very much interested in methods of assessing everyday life of activities, and how what we do, the activities that we do in the program, might be impacting everyday life. Because we are an empowerment program, we are also very much interested in empowerment, both for individual members, but also as the dyad. And then one aspect of our program that is probably key and that we've learned is very important, especially in the time of COVID, is building and maintaining social networks. So that, we are always looking for ways to support that social engagement and social network building. So that is a very quick overview. And if there is any interest or you would like to connect with me, I have my email address there, and then I could further connect you with members of the therapeutic core team who you might be able to work with.
Thank you, Amy. You were so timely. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for the opportunity to talk for a few minutes about the Built Environment Core. As Amy mentioned earlier, there are 4 cores in this program. Our focus is on how we can understand the impact of built spaces, both the Empowerment Center and home, on people's everyday experience. So our first task was, next slide please, was to help create a wonderful new place, an innovative place in Executive Park, which is on Briarcliff or I-85 and North Druid Hills. It's about a 24,000 square foot space that includes support for lots of activities in innovative ways. And so you can see here that, and we'll see pictures in a second, but we created an innovation theater where it's a black box theater, an innovative space, innovation accelerator where Jennifer and her crew hang out, with the idea being that while programming goes on, innovation is always front and center. And lots of functions. Next slide, please. So this is a lovely day-lit space. Lots of colors built on a natural theme that came out of work with staff and members during the design process in a human-centered design approach. But what isn't quite as obvious here is that we have one of the most sophisticated lighting systems of anywhere I know in healthcare, where all of the lights are tunable. They go from warm to cool, so we can study the impact of, We can study the impact of tunable lighting on daily experience. We're interested in layout and other things. Next slide, please. So here are just a few studies that we are doing presently, and that we'd love to have your help and participation in, or to build on, or to use as we go forward. We're currently using this living lab as a place that constantly improves, where we get ongoing feedback from surveys and observation, but also you'll hear in a few minutes as we go forward with a number of cameras throughout the space that we can see how spaces are used, and we expect this to be constantly better. What we're facing now is, as we go back into the space, how do we understand the new normal with changing issues of social distancing and masking? But the ongoing question is, how do we arrange the space to support the kind of programming that Amy just talked about? How do we use the space to make social interaction easier and support social interaction for a group for whom it's not as easy, perhaps, as it once was? We talked about lighting, and then we have a seed grant that's going on right now, focusing on noise and the sound environment. And one thing that's obvious as we go through this is that standards that have been produced for environments, like for noise, don't necessarily apply to older adults, and certainly don't necessarily apply to older adults who are living with mild cognitive impairment. So from the built environment side, there's an opportunity here to understand how we can support empowerment, but how existing standards and design strategies and innovations apply for this group of people. Next slide, please. So the first slide was really, how do we get better as we go? This is really using the Empowerment Center as a living lab. So we talked about tunable lighting on mood and alertness. So our lighting is not just to support functioning, but and programming, but how do we add to the literature? So this is a remarkable opportunity, and this is the black box theater here on your right, and to show the range of color that we can achieve through the tunable lighting. And we have a series of studies aimed at looking at acceptability and mood effects in this and other spaces. Speech discrimination, that we have a study which is really kicking off to understand how acoustics and masking might affect speech discrimination. And we know that speech discrimination, and this is working among others with Dr. Rodriguez as a cross-core kind of discussion. We're interested in how can people with mild cognitive impairment participate meaningfully in design, and I noticed that Dr. Tonetto is on this call. Hey, Leandro, but he has been an active participant in this notion of co-design. We can use the space and the people and the members and care partners that come in for rapid prototyping testing. And then you'll hear in a few minutes about this remarkable opportunity to study behavior in space. So we have lots of data, we will have lots of data, but we're also looking at cognitive aging in place. And with cognitive aging in place, what we're really interested in is to build on the work that in aging in place, which has often been principally about mobility, to understand how people who have cognitive challenges can live at home longer, more safely, and have a sense of joy and independence at home. That includes things like mobility impairments, transfer to toilets, and so on, but really, how can you do things like working and cooking in your kitchen safely and independently? And then, along with everybody else on this call, we're interested in how you can sleep well at home and the impact of your daily behavior, things like exercise and diet, your light exposure during the day and night, noise exposure, and how these are associated with the quality of sleep that we know is so important for everyday experience, as well as it has been associated with things like the speed of cognitive decline. Next slide, please. This is a group effort run out of the Centigrade Design Lab, and that so many of the people on the slide are associated with the Built Environment Core, and so we're eager to work with you, to have you reach out to us, and to find ways to make this work even better. So, next slide, please. So that's it for now. Jennifer, are we doing questions and comments on this, or
at the end? Sure. Yeah. Sure. So at the end, if there's any questions or comments, let's just get through everything. Okay. And,
so go back just one. Well, okay, we can move on. My email is on the final slide if you want to reach out to us. Sorry.
There you go. Okay. Okay. And now we're going to hear from Dr. Beth Minot about the Technology Core. And the Technology Core has figured out how to share slides.
Exactly. I was going to say our world-renowned Technology Core leader has figured this out.
You can see my slides now?
Yes, you can. And you can teach us later, but thank you.
But it is working now, yeah. Apologies, browser. So, and this was great because I wanted to suggest it. Craig went before me anyway, so this was all just part of the master plan, but thrilled to be able to give you an overview of the Technology Core, and we're doing this in two parts, so Chaitra will come directly after me. So our focus, not surprisingly, given the introduction that you've heard from Amy and Craig and the members of the team, is we're focused on how to create technologies to empower. Our vision is, technologies that improve the lives of people with MCI and their partners through the creation of things that are non-intrusive and are engaging, and that these technologies guide and reinforce the types of personalized therapy that you're hearing about from Amy, support daily activities in the home, also connected to the things that you just heard from Craig with respect to aging in place, and then finally encourage physical activity and social engagement in many of the activities that we know that are important. So for us, it's a multi-sided market perspective, designing for CEP members, their care partners, the needs of the therapeutic staff as a whole, and then contributing in this multidisciplinary science and translational research. So for the tech team, Gary Clifford cannot be here today, but he is my co-partner in leading the Technology Core. And today, I'm going to talk to you about some of the work that's being led by others at Georgia Tech, and then Chaitra is going to pick up to talk to you about work being also led out of Emory. But folks that you can contact and connect with to find out more about what we're doing are individuals such as Brian Jones and Brad Fain, who have a long leadership with respect to technologies in the home, especially for older adults. And then Jeremy Johnson and Salima LaForce, who do tremendous work in our interactive application, mobile application that is used by the program, and working with our therapeutic staff. So as a whole, we are working to create technologies for a cognitive empowerment program continuum of care. So the things that we are doing now and the things that we would love to see seed grantees work towards is ways of creating use around mobile support, and I'll introduce our app to you. Technologies that ensure safety and support activity within the home, that foster things like social interaction and exercise, and then technologies that unobtrusively and with privacy and security in mind both monitor progress and help us give some quantitative information about the shape of activity, throughout the daily life, shape of activity within the cognitive empowerment program to inform our overall goals. One of the key pieces of technology that SEED grantees can consider thinking about is that we have a mobile app, My CEP. Every member in the program is given an Apple tablet computer, so this is an iOS app, and it is used as a mechanism to connect with their classes, to connect with research. It's an ability to launch into other apps that can be appropriately designed for our members and care partners. And it provides a sort of glue and consistency between our service providers and our members when they're not in class with them. For the past year, we've had also a tremendous focus of virtually delivering our program via the app. So we're thrilled to be back in place, face-to-face with our members. But now the app really is kind of that glue of what happens when you're not in classes and when you're not with us at the facility. So lots of opportunities there, and Jeremy Johnson and Salima LaForce are a tremendous resource to help you understand ways to plug into that, both from a design perspective and an architecture perspective. We have a set of technologies focused on sensing in the home, and these are supporting both current studies and anticipated studies. And again, Brian Jones and Brad Fain are tremendous access to this. So some of the things that we are actively investigating right now, how can technology in the home and technology overarching approach to fostering better sleep? What are ways that we can have technology to help you to remember important activities within daily life? And medication is one of the areas where we're starting to have some great success with. And then finally, working especially with other members around functional independence, which is how can we make sure the home is a safe place, an engaging place, and understanding the tensions between, for example, someone in MCI home alone when a care partner may be out at work or doing errands and such. So lots of opportunities there. This is built on 20 plus years of research of understanding monitoring technologies for the home. And in particular, we work across a set of technologies by a company called People Power. Technologies are homegrown by us, and then technologies that connect to another research system, Orchitect, which is out of Oregon Health Science University. And then the last piece of technology-driven study, and then I'll switch over to Chaitra, is that we've had tremendous success with the deployment of Google Home, so conversational assistants. So we now have deployment up to 20 member homes, and we're about to run a think tank next week, and I think we're going to get a next set of customers for this. This is a population that is rarely studied with respect to the design and the utility of conversational assistants. So we've been able to do some great scholarship already, and then we're starting to go into more focused skill app design for the social assistants. So we're currently deploying a medication app, which we're on our third round of design for, and is getting greater adherence and enthusiasm by our users. And we're now working with the cognitive team to understand how Google Home and social assistants could be a linkage between paper-based calendaring and digital calendaring and remembering to do tasks in the home overall. So there's a whole set of research about technology within the CEP facility. So Chaitra is going to talk about that. But in the meantime, this is how to reach me, and I can also pass you to other members of the team to learn about opportunities on how to plug in, leverage, and amplify the types of things that we're doing. So Jennifer, after interruption, hopefully that worked, and passing to Chaitra.
Yes, thank you. Member's doing so wonderful on timing today. All right, so Chaitra, you have some slides to share? I think we know that you are capable of sharing slides. We've already tested this.
Yes. I will
Share your screen and take it away.
Yeah. Can you see my screen? I think you should.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. My name is Chaitra. I'm a PhD student with Dr. Gary Clifford in the Clifford Lab. So our lab is everything sensors. So we work with wearable sensors and what we call nearable sensors, which are basically sensors which we don't wear, but are all around us. So we're trying to infer behavior and basically behavior of this population using sensors. So some of the research questions that we're trying to tackle are if we can identify social behavior and interaction dynamics in this population, and if we can see if there's a difference in how this population interacts socially as compared to a healthy population. We're also trying to see the effect of sound and light in behavior changes. Like Craig mentioned, there's a lot of different lighting options in the Executive Park building. So using sensors, we're trying to see if the changes in these light or sound environments has an effect on the behavior of people. And it's also interesting to see if over time there's change in behavior, and this would help us assess if probably due to therapeutic change or some kind of medication change, there's some change in behavior which is helping people. So since we work on sensors, I thought I'll walk you through some of the sensors we're currently using. So on the wearable side, we have an accelerometer. So this is sort of like a basic Fitbit. It monitors how much you walk or how much you move around, the intensity with which you move around, all of that. We also have a Bluetooth tile, which gives us your approximate location in the Executive Park building. And now there are a host of nearables that we have. All these sensors are connected to something called a Raspberry Pi, which is a mini computer. So all these sensors are put in the ceiling of the Executive Park building. So we have things like a light and color sensor, temperature sensors, motion sensors, microphones, and cameras. Let me talk to you about some of the things we've been doing with these sensors. So with the Bluetooth tile, my lab mate Pradyumna Suresha has worked on this. So this blue circle that you can see is a prediction of where a person is in a room. So as my lab mate moves around his house, you can see that the prediction also changes. So we get an idea of where people are in a building. This helps us know if one room is more popular or there are more people gathered there for some reason. And it also helps us assess movement patterns within the building. We also have microphones that are up in the ceiling in the Executive Park building. And this is something my lab mate Nick Shu works on. You can think of it sort of like an Alexa device, but it does not recognize voices. It collects de-identified data, basically. It also does not record what people are saying, but it records things like maybe how much people are talking, what the noise level is, so we can assess how much social interaction is happening just through noise in a particular room. And then there's the cameras. So the cameras are what I work on. There are about 30 cameras in this space right now. And note that they're not in any of the private rooms or bathrooms. They're mostly in common areas. So what we're storing from the cameras is not exactly the frames, but we have an algorithm running on this mini computer which converts people into skeletal structures on the fly. So ultimately what we actually store is this, just the skeletal structures. So this gives us the ability to have information that's enough to perform different inferences about behavior without compromising privacy. So one use of this that we're right now doing is we are able to find the distance between people in a room. So we use a transform to find the distance between people in meters. So in the post-pandemic era, we're able to tell how well social distancing is being practiced in different parts of the Executive Park building. We combine this social distancing metric with different information like if people are vaccinated or how likely people are to contract COVID based on maybe their age or different comorbidities. And we come up with a heat map kind of representation of how risky certain parts of the space are. So this is actually the EP6 map, a simplified version. And you can see that this changes over time, and you can see as people move around how risky some parts are. This helps us identify if there are some parts of the building which probably need to be closed off since social distancing can't be practiced there, or if the ventilation rate has to be increased, things like that. So in the pipeline, we have a lot of things that we're planning to do. One is using the cameras to do activity recognition. So once we identify activities, we can use it to sort of understand the behavior of people in the space. We also are using iPads to do eye tracking. So this can be used for cognitive impairment screening. And we're planning to use facial expressions to assess maybe the mood of people in the space. And this is something my lab mate Zifan works on. And on the home side, we have a lot of sensors again, but one of them is sleep that we're really interested in. So we're using more of these watches rather than something like this. So there are many watches that monitor your sleep. They tell you we're able to tell sleep quality, how many times you woke up in between in the night, how long it took you to fall asleep, all of that. And this is something my lab mate Sam works on. So that's some things that we do in our lab in a short time that I could tell you. This is my advisor Gary's contact. So if you have any questions, you can contact him. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Chaitra. And we'll allow, if folks have questions, you can put that in the chat and we can address those at the end. But I want to just move through everything. And so I am now going to share my screen. Just have a couple of slides here as we wrap things up. So, sharing. Okay. So I just wanted to give, I represent the Innovation Accelerator Corps, and I wanted to give a little more background on the seed grants. We run the seed grant process, and really what our goal is to encourage collaboration. So that's the real reason behind the seed grants. We've given these out 2 years in a row now, and so this is our third time around. We give out $150,000, and we're looking to really expand our network of people working on mild cognitive impairment. So I'm just going to share some examples here. These are some of the seed grants that we've given out previously, just to kind of spark your imagination. One of the ongoing ones right now, and this information is all on the website, which I'll give you the link at the end here. One of the projects right now is working on Right Steps 2, is an application on the tablet that they're designing for the tablet to help people remember things and to keep track of information that they want to keep track of. We have another one on speech perception. So this is around the built environment and how people have a problem with hearing and speech perception in space. And obviously that gets exacerbated when we're older, but it's also unique. There's some unique challenges with people with mild cognitive impairment. Another one of our projects that's ongoing is around music for memory, mood, and togetherness. And they're again working on an application on the tablet where they can use music and see if that helps people with journaling and recording their memories. And another project that we funded this year, student-led with a research team out of Georgia Tech on memory, sleep, and stress in the dyad. So looking at the couple and how much their sleep on one day affects their memory lapses the next day and how much support they have to provide each other to remember things. We have another one around the care partner dyad there around everyday memory interventions and how little strategies that people can use to remember things, and that was without using the technology, but just having intervention strategies, behavioral strategies. And then another one that was done around adherence to behavior. So a lot of what is recommended to people when they're diagnosed with MCI is to change their behavior, increase your exercise, change your diet. One of the challenges there is adhering to that advice, and so looking at what are some of the barriers that people have to making these changes and keeping up with them. So that's just some ideas to give you a sense of the kind of things we've funded. I want to go over a little bit about the mechanisms and rules around this. So what we want these proposals to target is people living in the community with mild cognitive impairment. So just want to be explicit around that because there are obviously lots of great questions around how to improve the quality of life for people in communities, living in assisted living communities or living in assisted care, we're not focused on that. We are focused on people who are still independent, and we want to empower them to remain independent. And we are focused on people with MCI who have not progressed, say, to Alzheimer's, who have not been diagnosed with dementia. So we ask that your proposals focus on that group of people. We are looking for Georgia Tech and Emory collaborators. Preferences is that you have one of both of those on your team, but you have to at least have one from each of those organizations. We are open to other organizations, other entities getting involved, but you'll need to find a Georgia Tech or an Emory collaborator to lead that up. We want all of the projects that we work with to involve the members. Those are the people living with mild cognitive impairment who are part of our program. To involve those members as active co-designers. So we really encourage you not to think of these projects as experiments and studies that you do to people, but that you do with people with MCI, right? So they will be involved in it. They won't just be providing information. They will be providing guidance and helping to develop what those solutions are. We want all of the SEED grantees to regularly meet with the Cognitive Empowerment Program staff. So we really see you as an extension of our staff, as another member of our team, right? So this is not just a matter of send us a report in a year, but we really want you to meet with the folks that you've heard from this morning, to be a part of what they're doing and to expand their capabilities by bringing you on board. The projects, we ask that you design a project that will be completed within a year. It could be a shorter term project if that's what you have in mind. The maximum amount of funding is up to $50,000. Obviously, if you need less money than that, that's awesome. Please ask for less, and then we can fund more projects, because we always have a little bit of a problem. We love all the ideas and we want to fund them all. And then we ask that you present your projects at our annual symposium. So we give you that opportunity and to do that as a favor to us. Right? We have an annual symposium in January. So this is about the halfway mark, this event that we have now. And the ones with the asterisk there, the involvement of the members, and then finding collaborators. Those are things that we can help with. I can be the gateway. You can contact me, and I can help connect you with those folks. So that's not something that you're going to have to do on your own. If you don't know someone at one of those organizations and you want to find somebody who's appropriate, please let us know, and we'll help make those connections. So speaking of helping make connections, these are some images from the space and some things that we actually do at the Cognitive Empowerment Program. So these are opportunities and ways to, while those criteria might sound intimidating, this is some of the stuff that's available to you so that, you know that you're not doing this all on your own. Beth and I alternate every other week with think tanks, and those are opportunities, 50-minute sessions with members and care partners every week. So every week we have 4 cohorts of members coming into the space and meeting with us at a think tank. So those are built-in opportunities to bring your project to them. So we even have projects that aren't necessarily a part of CEP. If it's related and we have a chance to vet that, they might be able to come in. But this is an opportunity, if you're a SEED grant winner, to come in and work with those members. So that could be upwards of almost 40 people right there in that built-in thing, that built-in event of the think tanks. We also can help with recruitment and access to member data. So recruitment, you can come to think tanks and pitch your studies. We can post flyers. We also have the tablet that Beth talked about. That we actually have a dedicated research section on the tablet, and we can post the research study there. We're training members that they can go and read about them, and then they can actually provide their contact information directly through the tablet. We also have access to the data, so if you come up with a research study that you think would be useful for you to know more about their cognitive outcomes or their movement outcomes, anything that we're already collecting, we have a process where you can request that data as part of your study. And then, of course, the Cognitive Empowerment Center itself that Craig showed you, some of the pictures of our wonderful space. That is available, which makes it a lot easier for meeting with members. If we set up, if we want to set up activities with members outside of the think tank, meet with them there at Executive Park, use the space, you can hold classes there. And we also, again, the staff is all very willing to help. The therapeutic core staff, the folks that deliver these programs is all willing to be collaborators. And so please feel free to reach out to them directly or reach out to me and I can connect you, that they can help you in developing a seed grant proposal that will really target what we're looking for and be of help. And I'm out of time. So here is the schedule. So the pre-proposals, and hopefully you've seen that already. If you're watching this webinar, the pre-proposals are due on August 13th by 5 p.m. And we ask for pre-proposals instead of full proposals because we want to, minimize the burden, give you an opportunity to tell us what you're looking at. We commit to getting back invitations to the ones that we want to see full proposals by September 10th. And then those final proposals will be due on October the 15th. So, and then we'll be able to let you know by mid-November. So this is the website here where you can go and find documents about this, find the application form itself, and you can also read about some of the reports of the previous studies that we've done, that we've funded, and connect with those. So let me see if there are do we have any questions coming in from our wide audience? So I will now invite, if anybody has any questions, or if any of our presenters that I cut off earlier had something else they wanted to say. All right, so I am going to wrap this up. We have this recording available. We have materials on our website. I believe all of the presenters have their contact information is readily available on that website where you can link and see about the call for proposals. And we look forward to getting some great projects from you. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about, what we're looking for. You want to run ideas past us. We are happy to help. We really look forward to bringing on some additional collaborators.